time for the Ron and Brian podcast. Get ready to fill your ears with the latest news, politics, current events, and whatever else we feel like talking about this week. And now, your hosts, Ron and Brian.
All right, good evening, everybody. It is Sunday night. It is 8 o'clock, and it is time for episode 207 of the Ron and Brian podcast. Joining me, as always, man of the hour, Brian. Brian, how the hell are you today, sir?
Oh, it is Sunday, which means, I've got the creative fluids going right through my body as we speak.
All right,
doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing okay. You know, it's a good time to be doing a podcast. It's a great time to be part of the Ron and Brian podcast. My creative juices are ready to flow as well. So let's fill them with some actual juices with Drink of the Week.
Drink of the Week.
Na zdrowie.
Salud.
Drink of the Week. Cruncher.
Prost.
Drink of the week. Drink of the week.
All right,
Drink
Brian.
Of the week. Drink of the week.
What are you drinking this week?
Oh,
Oh,
we are going out to New Jersey. Our good friends at Montclair Brewery. You know, a little known fact about Montclair, New Jersey, is that it's one of its most famed citizens was astronaut Buzz Aldrin,
I did not know that.
who rumor has it allegedly was part of the hoax that was perpetrated on the American public that we actually landed on the moon. So what you're looking at here is Montclair Brewery Buzz Ale, also known as Buzz American Ale. You know, in honor of Montclair, hometown hero Buzz Aldrin, Montclair Brewery is releasing a new Belgium-style blonde ale.
Ooh.
Take a look at that beautiful thing.
That's beautiful, my friend.
They're releasing the Belgian blonde ale. It's to commemorate the 50th anniversary of Buzz allegedly landing on the moon on a soundstage in Houston. It's hoppy, it's hazy, it's a summer ale that lands nice and smooth on the palate. Coming in at 5.2 ABV. Brian's got 4 of these suckers in his beer fridge. He's all set for tonight.
Give it a sip. We've had some success with New Jersey breweries here. I hope this continues the trend. How is it? Oh, it's going back for a second sip already.
It's good.
All right.
It is good. Yeah. I'm pleased with this one.
All right. Well, I'm happy. Whenever you're happy, I'm happy.
Ron,
Yes.
what are you drinking?
So this week, going with I'm not even familiar with this brewery or this beer, but this is by Burlington Beer Company. This is their Meteor Mash. This is a double stout with coconut, chicory, and the milk sugar, clocking in at a solid 8%. No light is escaping this beer right here. That is black as night. That is a dark double stout. Let's give it a sip.
That's a dark. What are you thinking? Drink. It's 90 degrees outside.
It's surprisingly refreshing. You definitely get the chicory. I don't really. No, there's the coconut. So I know you would hate this because you're not a fan of the coconut. And
not
I'm
like the
getting the
coconut.
sweetness from the milk sugar. So this is actually.
What is milk sugar?
What's that?
What is milk sugar?
I'm not quite sure. I'm not educated enough to be able to tell you that. But yeah, so I think we're both pleased with our drinks of the week. So
Absolutely. I think I'll be having a second one during the show.
okay, I don't have a second one of these, but at 8%, probably good. Might we just switch to water after this one?
No, you will keep drinking because we have an after dark to do after this episode. And there is where I need you heavily intoxicated. That's right, people. After dark. Every week after we are done with this podcast, a lot of you shuffle off to go about your Sunday scaries. You plan for the upcoming work week ahead, but not in the Ron and Brian multiverse. What we do is we take a short break Ron usually goes to walk the dog. I go to drain the snake. Next thing I know, we are back behind the paywall over on Patreon, which you can locate our page if you go to our website, ronandbrianpodcast.com. Click the link in the upper right-hand corner. Go to Patreon, become a subscriber for as little as $5 a month. You will get an audio feed of at least 30 minutes of material, stuff that we cannot put out to the general public. YouTube would ban us. Facebook would demonetize us, and Twitch would start twitching. Sometimes we get a little personal. Sometimes we get a little sexy. Sometimes we get a little scandalous. But most importantly, for those $10 a month subscribers, is you get a link every Sunday, sometimes Saturday, depending on if Beaker's, Matt Beaker is on the ball, and you get a link to a private website, nothing scandalous, where you get to watch live the After Dark. It's a way to say thank you for the hours of entertainment that Ron and myself have brought you in your life.
All right. And back to the free podcast. It's time for another bit you love each and every week. It's Beef of the Week.
Ron and Brian's Beef of the Week.
Brian, what's bothering you this week?
Our dear friends over at Major League Baseball.
Really? Why is that?
The pansies over at Major League Baseball.
Why would
the
you call
wimps
it?
over at Major League Baseball? I had tickets this past Friday to go see the New York Yankees at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx at 161st Street. I don't know the avenue.
Is that the first place New York Yankees?
Best record in baseball, New York Yankees. So they did lose the first game of today's doubleheader. Anywho, my point is that on Friday at about, I would say maybe 4:30, they announced that they were postponing the 7:00 game due to what was going to be predicted as torrential downpours. There was going to be rain, and it was going to cause the game to be rained out. So therefore, they canceled the game in advance. Now, I will say this. It rained strongly between 5 and 6. Though I would say by 6:30, I didn't see any more rain for the rest of the night. And don't get me wrong, I still had an enjoyable Friday night. However, I did not get to go to Mecca. I did not get to go to my church. I did not get to go to my home, Yankee Stadium in the Bronx.
Same thing happened here. They kept predicting these huge thunderstorms that actually closed schools early around here based off of potential hurricanes, tornadoes, that kind of thing. But really, nothing much panned out.
I was very upset. I wanted to go to the Yankee game.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Ron?
Yes.
Besides Walmart food delivery, what's bothering you this week?
Well, I will tell you, Walmart food delivery was on point this week. Not only did we get the groceries you ordered, we got groceries we didn't even order. So I got a free family-sized bag of Cheetos and a box of graham crackers. So.
What else? Those were the only things, or was there more?
That was all. I mean, that was what I had not ordered that I got for free.
So they just threw in 2 random items.
Well, I think I got a bag for someone else's order that was going to be delivered.
William Esquire nailed my real anger about the game.
Oh, was it a bobblehead game?
It was Andy Pettitte bobblehead night.
That's upsetting.
And now they rescheduled Andy Pettitte bobblehead night for a night that I can't go to.
Ridiculous.
The injustice. Okay, Ron, what's bothering you?
So it's not going to be Walmart. It's not even going to be Jeep this week, although it could be because the parts finally came in. We took the car back to Jeep, and I had a call from my good friend Taylor, I feel she and I are friends now because we're really walking this path together.
So you guys are now talking to each other. It's no longer just a text exchange.
It's not only just via text. We're having phone conversations, and so she calls me on Saturday. She's like, "So we replaced all of the parts that had come in, and now when we start your car, the entire dashboard lights up like a quote Christmas tree." Which, spoiler alert, it is not meant to do that. So
Sure.
now we're getting a level 3 technician to work on it on Monday. So apparently level 1, level 2 can't get the job done. They're throwing a level 3 technician at the car.
Question.
Yes.
When was the last time you drove your car?
I had the car and I was able to drive it, but I brought it back on Thursday night. So it's been there Friday, Saturday. Who knows when I'll get it back at this point? But that is not my beef this week, Brian. It is maybe next week. We'll see.
Something even more.
But my beef this week is with this gentleman. I don't know his name, but we will refer to him as the Costco asshole. So we were shopping at Costco on Saturday. Brian, do you go to Costco ever?
I do go. I have a membership. I will say that my neighbors use my membership more than I do.
But you're aware that as you leave, you have to show somebody your receipt, and then they check and make sure your order matches, and they mark it, and they send you on your way, correct?
They hold your receipt, they do this, and then they take either a highlighter or a black Sharpie and draw a vertical stripe right down your receipt, which is basically anybody can do this.
There you go. So we are attempting to exit our Costco. There is a long line. They have 2 people checking receipts. So they split us up into 2 lines. And there is this woman, come to find she is 90 years old. And her daughter, I'm assuming her daughter must be in her 60s. They are very indecisive as to what receipt checker they want to go to. So this woman kind of cuts in front of me, which is fine, no big deal. And as she cuts her cart over, she ends up bumping this gentleman in the back of his leg.
Ooh, so how old is this gentleman?
I'm going to put him probably in his 60s.
Okay.
So again, an accident could have been avoided, but an accident nonetheless.
Happens.
He turns around, he grabs the front of this woman's cart and shoves it backwards, nearly knocking this 90-year-old woman to the ground.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Janelle finds it funny. I don't think it's funny at all.
Not funny, Janelle. Elder abuse, never humorous.
Never funny.
And then starts to like verbally abuse the daughter, who is like, listen, she just accidentally bumped into you. Meanwhile, Costco employees standing around not doing anything. To be fair, the rest of us standing around not doing anything either. So then this guy tells her, like, blow it out your ass, blah, blah, blah. Like, and then nearly runs into somebody else heading out the door as well to go to his Audi SUV illegally parked in a handicap spot.
So you saw him go to his car?
Well, because we were right behind him. So by the time we got out, he was loading up again his Audi SUV illegally parked.
Wow.
I just hate people, Brian. I hate people, and that gentleman is the perfect example of why.
We've gotten much worse. There's no way to avoid that. We have gotten much worse.
Yes. So that's my beef. I hope that is an appropriate beef for you. I know you have cast aspersions on my beefs in the past. I hope this meets your high standards this week.
No, my biggest concern about your beef this week is that you did absolutely nothing to come to this woman's defense.
Had it continued to spiral, I probably would have stepped in. But I was like, but part of me was also like, all right, let's see how this is going to play out.
At what what level of aggression would have caused you to get involved? Like, a backhanded slap across the face. Do you get involved or not?
I think had it appeared to get if it was going to get physical again, I think I would have needed to have stepped in.
He spits on her face. Are you getting involved?
Then you got to get involved, Brian.
He takes out a taser and jabs Granny right by the jugular. Are you getting involved at this point?
I think yes. I mean, I'm going to have to keep my eyes on the taser, obviously.
Of course.
I'm getting
now, are you with Mrs. Ron at the time?
I am, yes.
Now, did you feel at any point you needed to protect Mrs. Ron, that her safety was in jeopardy?
I feel she's better at taking care of herself than I am, so
Okay.
I would never assume that I need to come to her rescue.
Now, at
It's
any
very
point,
sexist of you to assume that, Brian. Just saying.
I'm going to say this. I still hold on to some old school values,
Right.
I do believe that the man should put himself in physical danger prior to letting his woman, excuse me, his partner. However, that's not to say that the woman cannot handle herself.
So you are looking when you say his woman, so the man has ownership of the woman. Like you are looking at the woman as property in your book.
Ooh, that just reminds me of something.
I'm not even sure I want to know what that reminded you of. Let's move on.
I need to make an apology.
To
mothers, particularly mothers of infants. We had some hot takes last week while talking about the national shortage of baby formula. Some views were expressed that didn't necessarily represent the views of the Ron and Brian podcast by part of the talent on the Ron and Brian podcast. I'm not here to point fingers. I'm not here to say who's at fault. But the comments were made that that women, that mothers, if they were unable to get their hands on some baby formula, that they should start breastfeeding, as that is, God's way of providing all the natural food for the baby. In the moment, I'm going to say that that those thoughts seemed logical. Those thoughts seem to have, made sense. In hindsight, I've spent the past week listening. I've heard the voices, and I understand that there were a lot more subtle layers going on in the landscape of feeding babies that I, as not being a parent, should have stepped backwards and not felt empowered to voice an opinion. So I would like to apologize to all non-breastfeeding mothers out there who have chosen to feed their babies formula.
Well, I applaud you. I applaud your willingness to learn and your willingness to educate yourself.
Thank you. Apologies need to be made sometimes.
Yes, without a doubt. Moving on, sometimes we revisit bits because we love bits. For example, next weekend being Memorial Day, we'll be revisiting Hot Podcaster Summer.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
But sometimes,
can we see that again? Can we do that again?
Would you like me to do that again? One more time.
Hot Podcaster Summer.
And then sometimes we revisit bits, not because we want to, but because we have to. And we do so again this week.
This
Week.
in
Racism.
racism.
That's right. We are having a quick revisit to this week in racism because it has been such a horrid week. As always, we will attempt to keep this week to racism to a tight 10 minutes to keep Brian happy. But there were so many stories this week that we had to take the bit out of mothballs, shake it off, and get it back out there. We start off with a recent Politico interview where Senator Bill Cassidy from Louisiana, a state with one of the worst maternal mortality rates in the nation, which also has a trigger law in effect that would ban abortion if Roe v. Wade was overturned, he appeared to try and defend his state's maternal death rate by saying you shouldn't count the black women that die. He said, quote, about a third of our population is African American. African Americans have a higher incidence of maternal mortality. So if you correct our population for race, we're not as much of an outlier as it otherwise appear. Close quote. Black mothers are 3 times more likely to die from a pregnancy-related cause than white mothers in the U.S., while in Louisiana, Black mothers are 4 times as likely to die than white mothers. Hidden Oaks Middle School in Palm City, Florida went viral last week due to a Snapchat photo that showed 6 boys, all 7th graders, each holding a letter spelling out the N-word. We did get a copy of this photo. We have chosen not to share it. But the Martin County School District immediately condemned the photo and launched a quick investigation. The photo investigators found was authentic and was not manipulated, and no school personnel were involved in or knew about the students' planning, photographing, or posting of the picture on social media. However, the district said details of the investigation, including the name of the students involved and any potential punishment, would be kept confidential because of state and federal privacy laws. Rideshare driver James Bodie was praised on social media this week for refusing service to a customer due to racist comments. The passenger in question was Jackie Harford, owner of Fossil's Last Stand Bar in Catasauqua, Pennsylvania, which is a suburb of Allentown. We're going to play that video for you here. You will catch the subtle racism in the beginning and then the very blatant racism at the end.
What's that? Are you like a white guy? Excuse me? Are you like a normal guy? Like you speak English?
Is that too low, or can you hear that?
It is too low.
Cancel a ride. That's inappropriate. What? It's completely inappropriate. If somebody was not white sitting in the seat, what would be the difference?
Are you serious?
She said, wow, you're a white guy.
Oh,
That's okay. I'm not going to take the ride. You guys can get out.
really?
Yeah, completely inappropriate.
Oh, you're a fucking asshole.
It's all on
You're
camera,
a piece
man.
of shit.
It's all on
I
camera.
should punch you in the fucking face.
You're going to
Oh
threaten
my
me.
God.
Yeah,
Assault.
yeah, fuck you.
Wow.
Because you guys are racist fucks.
You're a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
Fucking nigger lover. Fuck you.
Yeah, so starts off by making
Whoa!
how she was surprised that her Uber driver was white. And then at the end, her boyfriend there dropping the N-word. The video has spread across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, and elsewhere, and the fallout has been immediate for Jackie Harford. She shut down the bar's website and Facebook page and deleted her personal page and has not been able to be reached for comment. The funny part, though, is since she deleted the Fossil's Last Stand Facebook page, that has allowed someone else to restart the Fossil's Last Stand Facebook page. So if you would like to see a kind of an A+ class in trolling, visit the Fossil's Last Stand new Facebook page. Video of a 9-year-old boy knocking on the front door and cracking a whip on the front porch of a black family's home is making the rounds on social media. Footage from Carissa and Desaria Nash's doorbell camera shows the boy, who is white, walking up and pounding on the front door. The child can then be seen cracking the whip twice and standing back, waiting for someone to open the door. According to the couple, the boy was searching for their 9-year-old daughter. We have that video here as well. So he whips it. He kind of waits for the woman to open the door.
You better get your ass from off my porch beating on my door like this. I will call the police. You need to leave. Don't you ever beat on my goddamn door like that. Go. Okay.
And then the boy leaves, apparently also whipping the family's car as well, causing some damage. When the Nashes went to speak to the boy's father, Brian Thomas Brunson, he answered the door with a gun. An argument ensued, and Brunson reached for his gun, which went off with the bullet almost striking Brunson's daughter. Brunson was arrested on a felony charge of deadly conduct for reckless discharge of a firearm. He has since bonded out of jail, but of course, it would not be a day if we didn't share a mugshot here. So there is the mugshot of Brian Thomas Brunson. Again, yeah,
What's
Kind of
with
looks like
the
you would expect him.
what's with the towel around his neck?
I don't know if that was because of maybe that's his look. Maybe he's yeah. I have no idea. I have nothing. And then let's put up some more mugshots here, Brian, because it's mugshot day on this week in racism. So right here, we have two gentlemen, two former Oklahoma police officers, Robert Hinkle and Nathan Ronan, who have been charged with first-degree manslaughter in connection with the 2021 fatal shooting of a black man in Comanche County, Oklahoma. Quadri Sanders was killed at a home on December 5th, 2021, when Lawton Police Department officers responded to a call about a man in violation of a protective order and in possession of a firearm. In a statement by District Attorney Kyle Kabelka, body camera video showed that, quote, Mr. Sanders can be seen raising both of his hands in the air above his head. At that time, Officer Hinkle shoots his firearm 4 times at Mr. Sanders. Mr. Sanders falls to the ground and appears to have been shot, at which time Officer Hinkle once again orders hands, and to quit reaching. Sanders sits up from his back with his hands above his head, at which time Officer Hinkle fires his firearm 7 additional times. Simultaneously with those shots, Officer Ronan also fires his weapon at Mr. Sanders 4 times. Sanders was pronounced dead on the way to the hospital, and no weapon was located on Sanders' body or in the area where he was shot.
This is terribly sad.
Closing this week in racism, but it's its own story, is, of course, the horrific shooting that took place at the Tops supermarket in Buffalo, New York, last year by a white nationalist who, shockingly, police managed to bring him in alive. You shoot 10 guys and what the hell, you can, and he was handled with kid gloves too. Like they made sure his rights were protected and all that. But the U.S. Justice Department is investigating this shooting at the Buffalo supermarket as a hate crime and an act of racially motivated violent extremism. We're not going to identify the shooter, but he has been indicted, and they're adding on different various counts as they add on the charges and whatnot. So I believe it was it 10 or 12 people that were killed.
Last I saw was 10 dead, another 18 injured.
Yeah. Apparently he had been writing on Discord. He had a private Discord channel where he put together, I guess, what you would consider almost a manifesto. It was a private Discord channel where he would put down his thoughts. He was very, obviously very racist. He was anti-Semitic. He had on his assault rifle, he had the N-word written on the barrel of the rifle. He went live on, I think he went live on Twitch or Discord. I forget which.
I think he went on, I believe it was Twitch. I'm not saying that I watched the video.
The video is available out there. Do not recommend you watch it. It's kind of horrific.
So you have watched it.
But what also happened is he had obviously, developed a lot of his thoughts in his Discord channel. He had met other white nationalists on Discord and invited them to his Discord channel on the day of the attack, basically letting these people know what he was planning on doing. And no one obviously felt it necessary to alert the authorities about this.
Well, it's because they're all pieces of garbage.
Well, true.
My concern was the fact that, he had written this manifesto, and we always refer to, people's bizarre diaries or online journals. We refer to them as manifestos after they commit whatever horrific and heinous crimes they do. But it feels like this kid was all over the place. Everybody immediately jumped to the fact that he was a hardcore Republican, dangerously right-wing, hated the, all minorities, hated liberals and whatnot. But then apparently, as you get deeper into the manifesto, and I haven't read it, I refuse to, I will not, subject my brain to any more vile words than I get weekly talking to Ron once a week. But the issue is that it seems like he's all over the place. Like he spoke about things that he hoped that by conducting this act he would there would be some type of gun control legislation passed, and he said things where he was anti-authoritarian and whatnot. So it's amazing how I think like when these horrible things happen, people want to put the cause into these nice little boxes that they can check off that kind of feeds their narrative. But it seems as if this guy was all over the fucking place.
According to his relatives, they feel COVID may have been the reason for it. Because of paranoia.
How many times did he? Hold on. How many times did he get COVID? Let's see. Let's talk about it.
He apparently only got COVID once, but they're saying the paranoia and isolation he experienced due to the pandemic may have caused it.
Or he was just fucking crazy. Keep going.
Other horrible stories coming out of this. There was a 911 dispatcher that allegedly hung up on one of the employees at the top supermarket when they called in to report the massacre. Apparently, the woman who called was whispering because, obviously it was an active shooter situation. So the 911 dispatcher yelled at her and hung up on her. She then needed to call her boyfriend, who then called 911 for her. That 911 dispatcher has since been suspended pending an investigation. And then a New York State corrections officer has been suspended without pay after posting a photo on social media mocking the victims of the massacre. The gentleman's name is Greg Foster. He was a prison guard at Attica Correctional. And basically the gist of the photo was, there was a cleanup needed in multiple aisles of the supermarket. So just when you think people are horrible, other people show you how they could be horrible as well.
You know what also is horrible, Ron?
What's that?
Having an untrimmed bush as a man. I mean, it's so important that you have your pubic hair under control, which brings us to our sponsor of the week, Manscaped. That's right, everybody, Manscaped. Ron, when manscaping, you've got to use the right tools for the job. And trust me, Ron, your balls will thank you. Now, you and I actually have been using the Manscaped for months. We have owned a couple of their products like the Lawnmower 4.0 and their ball deodorant because it's the only thing that has saved us from itchy balls. Manscaped was kind enough to send us their Perfect Package 4.0 kit, which includes their new and improved Lawnmower 4.0, along with other liquid formulations for your manscaping routines. Their Lawnmower 4.0 is the only water-resistant trimmer made with skin-safe technology, helping you avoid the absolute suffering that comes from common grooming accidents. And when they say common grooming accidents, and this is a little bit of an ad lib here, people, I'm improving, but I think we all know what we're talking about, and that is cutting your penis. It's called degloving your penis while you take a razor and you just try to get that little loose hair off the bottom of your shaft that you want to take off because you don't want your woman to see it. You don't want your male lover to see that little loose hair. No, that's not going to happen with the Lawnmower 4.0. It even has its own charging dock for convenience and ease of use with a battery that lasts up to 90 minutes. That means, Ron, that you can shave your body hair for 90 minutes on a single charge. The package also includes their Cropped Preserver ball deodorant. It's starting to get warm, people. We're hitting summer. What happens during that time? The balls stick to the thigh. There's not a lot of air movement in there. Things get a little humid. You want some ball deodorant, as well as the Crop Reviver ball toner, which I know sounds absolutely hilarious, but trust me, it works. I bought it myself. To make a long story short, and to keep it super convenient, subscribers of Manscaped will get a new replacement blade refill delivered straight to their door every 3 minutes. Best of all, for a limited time only, new subscribers will get 2 free gifts: the Shed Travel Bag and Manscaped's anti-chafing boxer briefs. click the link in the description below, which can't be done because this is an audio format. You can get 20% off any order at manscaped.com, plus the 2 free gifts, plus international shipping when you use the code RONSBALLS at manscaped.com. That's promo code RONSBALLS. Ron's Balls at manscaped.com, so they know that we sent you there. It helps the show and it helps your balls. Manscaped.com.
I have to admit, I did not think that they were going to renew their sponsorship after your previous live read, but clearly they know something I don't, and they've brought you back yet again.
I told them, don't pay us. Do not send money until you see that the ad read that we're going to do is worth the name Manscaped. And I believe we just delivered it.
So do we want to play this great video that we got from the Santa Rosa, Florida Sheriff's Office?
I don't know. Great is really the word you want to use. Outlandish, abhorrent, shocking. I mean, a lot of words you could use. Great, not sure, but I think we have to play it. Listen, there is the right is empowered. We'll talk about a little bit later about abortion rights. Gun rights are also on the forefront of a lot of what's going on in the world, especially in America, where we love our guns, but apparently no more than in Santa
Rosa, Florida.
Santa Rosa, Florida. So right off the bat, Florida, the sheriff, I guess this is the sheriff of Santa Anita.
Correct.
So the sheriff of Santa Anita, California, gets up there, and apparently there was some homeowner who discharged the firearm. Ron, I'm sure you have the story lined up. I don't want to step on your toes, so I'm going to hand it off to you.
So
we can get really over to some real fact checking because it's very important that we tell the story correctly.
So this is actually going back to a press conference about a month ago. Santa Rosa Sheriff Bob Johnson was discussing the arrest of Brandon Harris, who was leaping fences and breaking into houses before ultimately jumping headfirst out a window where he was apprehended. At one point, one of the 4 houses Harris broke into, a homeowner shot at him and missed. That homeowner had not come forward at the time of this press conference. So this was Sheriff Johnson's message to that homeowner.
Which homeowner shot at him? I guess they think that they did something wrong, which they did not. If somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. So whoever that was, you're not in trouble. Come see us. We have a gun safety class we put on every other Saturday, and if you take that, you'll shoot a lot better, and hopefully you'll save the taxpayers money.
So not surprisingly, a number of defense lawyers, including the president of the Florida Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers, said that this was wildly irresponsible and could potentially unnecessarily get people killed. Now, ironically, it's not a case of where, as a homeowner, you would have to worry about being charged, because Florida's stand your ground law actually pretty much allows you to shoot anyone you deem to be a threat of your home. But I think lawyers are saying maybe think about it a little bit before you shoot your firearm at someone.
Now, the part that I find most concerning about this is where do I start? How do they not know where the gunfire was?
I mean, I guess, I'm not certain. I mean, perhaps the suspect that was arrested mentioned that someone shot at him, or there was reports of that, of a firearm being discharged. But they are not aware which of the 4. Now, I would imagine it wouldn't take a ton of police work, since you only have really 4 homeowners to talk with. I wouldn't think it would have taken a tremendous amount of police legwork to figure that out. But I guess Sheriff Johnson just wanted to be a tough guy.
Which is ironic because he's offering a gun safety class every other Saturday, but he's not offering any gun training in terms of accuracy.
Right.
Which apparently, I mean, gun safety was not the problem here. It just seemed like the guy was a poor shot.
Right, without a doubt. Yeah, I've got
no doubt.
No doubt. So that, I think, though, that's our video of the week.
I'm going to disagree with you there.
Really?
I'm going to say it was that ride sharing Uber driver. Could have been a Lyft. I don't remember already. That was the video of the week.
That was pretty
tossing the woman out of, telling the woman that she was inappropriate and racist, saying that he's refusing her ride, and then having her husband, I guess, boyfriend jump in and threaten physical abuse, and then drop a hard N-word. I think that's your video of the week.
All right.
That actually warranted bringing back racism of the week.
All right. Can we agree that we do agree on our audio clip of the week? We tried something new this past week. This was available to Diamond members of the Patreon only. It was a little test we did.
Test run.
We put out a phone number, a new phone number for the Ron and Brian podcast. And we asked our Diamond Patreon members if you wanted to give us a call, leave us a voicemail, share your thoughts, whatever. We would be happy to do that. Margaret from Pennsylvania was the only one to really take us up on that. So let's hear what it is she had to say.
Ron, we just watched a horrible country video. And I know it was a parody, but I just want to tell you, country is dead, and I hate it. And I hate your injunction to it. And I know it's a fake word. And I know it'll be on the podcast tomorrow. And I'm fine with that. Oh, yeah, we're going to watch a good video. But guess what? Fucking country is so stupid. I'm glad that you weren't here to watch it. Oh, bye. Oh, bye.
So we appreciate the message. Number one.
Well, first off, we appreciate Margaret's diamond level support of our Patreon.
Of course,
I mean that is $150 a month. It is limited to 1,000 people only. Once we have 1,000 diamond memberships minted, no other diamond level subscribers can join. But we appreciate the fact. What I'm concerned about was, first off, it sounds like there's a level of comfort that Margaret has with you when talking, as if this is a response to a conversation that you two may have had about country music.
I'm not even a fan of country music, so I'm not quite.
Nobody is a fan of country music,
but
country music is the worst form of music.
I think sometimes our Diamond Patreon level members feel that they have a level of familiarity with us.
They are like family. They're like family. Now, Ron, we were talking before the show started about how we felt that this was a successful test run. The audio quality of the voicemail was definitely worthy of putting on the show. Are you comfortable lowering the barrier to entry for people to leave voicemails for the Ron and Brian podcast?
I mean, I think we are ready to just put that out there to the general public. So we're going to reveal that phone number right now. If you would like to call and leave a voicemail for the Ron and Brian podcast, could be a drunk voicemail, could be a sober one. It's really up to you. Tell us you love us. Tell us you hate us. Give us suggestions, tips, whatever. That number is 267-627-1062. Those digits again, 267-627-1062. We will, of course, have our producer, Matt Beaker, listen to all of these, and your voicemail could be on a future episode of the Ron and Brian podcast.
Or you can just dial 267 Ron's Balls.
I don't feel that spells out that way.
I don't think so either. But it'd be
Once
kind of
again,
cool if we could.
267-627-1062.
It's pretty easy to remember. Yeah, that is our official voicemail message service powered by Google.
Google, what?
Yes, we are. We have aligned ourselves with Manscaped, and we are an attempt to align ourselves with the kind people at Google. They respect your privacy. They are not tracking anything like that. It is a wonderful, beautiful thing.
Brian, I know we have some other stories that you
Ron?
want to get into. Yes.
What are you watching?
Exactly. I was about to ask you, what are you watching?
I will say.
No, go ahead.
I thought you were asking me.
I thought you were asking me, but I'm asking you. What are you watching, Brian?
I'm watching 3 things this week, and I bet you can name 2 of them.
Better Call Saul would be one.
Episode 6 of part 1 of the final season. This past week was episode 6. Next week, this coming week, will be episode 7. Then they go on hiatus until July, which is absolutely worthy of a beef of the week. This little bullshit where they break up the last season into 2 halves, I think is just nonsense. So this week it will be week 7. I will watch it. Also watching Under the Banner of Heaven continued. We will hit that one, episode 5 on Hulu. And then I took your suggestion from last week and I started watching The Kids in the Hall on Amazon Prime. Kudos to you, Ron, for that recommendation. Right off the bat, I saw 2 50, 60-year-old penises in the opening scene.
Yes.
They go full frontal, unabashed. Apparently, they're growers, not showers.
From what we saw, yes.
Apparently, it is true. Your balls do start getting a little saggier as life goes on. These were not high up there, kind of dangled down. Yes, I was staring hard for those 0.8 seconds that the nakedness was there. But it was also, like you said, there were some old bits. There were some old characters that they brought back. There were some new jokes. What I like about them is that they do a very good job alternating between the sexual, the perverse, the sick, and as well as the mundane and obscure. And some of their skits you just have to think about. They're not necessarily ha funny right off the bat, but just what a great troupe of comedy. Very much appreciated. Ron, what are you watching?
Well, and we talked about this on After Dark last week because I had forgot to mention it. Was the Netflix documentary Our Father?
Ooh, yes.
Did you get a chance to watch that yet?
I did not. I started watching it, got a couple minutes into it. Then I finished onto my lower belly, cleaned up, lost total interest in the story, put on Kids in the Hall, and watched that for the rest of the evening.
So Our Father is a documentary about Dr. Donald Klein. He was one of the top fertility specialists in Indianapolis for about 30 years. And basically, this woman who was given birth as a result, she was a child of his fertility clinic, did a 23andMe, found out she had an extraordinary number of half siblings in the database, and come to find out that Dr. Klein, over the period of 30 years, was inseminating these women coming to his clinic with his own sperm.
That was a rough story. I do remember you saying that.
Also, I started watching the George Carlin documentary on HBO Max. It is in 2 episodes, each one about 2 hours long. So I watched about an hour or so of the first episode. Excellent so far. Dealing with the early part of his career, which I was not familiar with. Turns out he was a kind of a clean mainstream comic when he first got into the business. And then once he started dropping acid, kind of decided he needed to be true to himself. And that's
Really?
when his his comedy changed. That's when he came out with like Class Clown, Operation Fool. So just some of his just amazing albums that he came out with in the 70s. So I would highly recommend that if you haven't seen it yet.
I have not.
And also watching on Netflix, Love on the Spectrum US, which follows a group of people with autism in the United States as they attempt to find love.
You're watching this?
I'm watching this, yes. I watched the original, which was
I remember.
Australia, and now they brought it over to the US.
And walk me through it.
No, I mean, I think it's very interesting. I think it helps you get a glimpse into the lives of people with, that are on the spectrum and with different types of autism. And I think it helps, I think it helps educate people and brings us closer together as a people, Brian. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sure there's something else I'm watching that I can't remember, but if I do, I'll just pick it up after dark.
I like it when you tell me about things you're watching after dark, because that is when things get a little sexy.
Oh yeah. Brian, Tuesday was primary day. Did you get out and vote?
No, I didn't even know there was anything to vote for in New York.
I mean, it was a party primary. You would have just voted for. I'm assuming are you registered Democrat?
You know what? How I choose to vote is my business.
My apologies.
I don't think that it is something that I need to disclose here. Registered Democrat.
So I was still able to do my mail-in voting here in Pennsylvania, so that was convenient. The GOP has not managed to gut that yet. But only real choices we had were really for lieutenant governor and Senate, and my candidates did not win their elections.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you vote for Dr. Oz?
I did not, because that's on the Republican side. I was voting on the Democratic side. But to show you what a horrible state Pennsylvania is, Doug Mastriani, who was in D.C. on January 6th and potentially could have been involved in the insurrection, will now be the GOP candidate for governor. And Dr. Oz, as you mentioned, is in a neck-and-neck race with Dave McCormick for the GOP nomination. I believe he was ahead by about 900 votes. But regardless, due to how close the election is, it will be going to a recount.
Wait a second. Dr. Oz was ahead?
Dr. Oz was ahead, yes.
Oh, what the fuck is wrong with no offense. What the fuck is wrong with Pennsylvania? That a guy who is a second-hand nut job selling quack mental, he started off on Oprah, correct? Isn't that where he
I believe so, yes.
So Oprah used to bring him on to be a doctor to give his opinion. Then the pandemic hits, and he starts to talk about ivermectin and how we need to open up the economy and how kids can't get the. Oh no, that was Dr. Drew. Sorry about that. Apologies to Johanna. I confused Dr. Oz with Dr. Drew. We all know that the kids do not have the receptors for COVID. However, what is Dr. Oz bringing to the table that warrants him winning the Republican nomination that people... Oh, and speaking of which, other than the fact that he was endorsed by Donald Trump, who tweeted a couple days after the election that Dr. Oz should just go ahead and declare victory because, the votes are going to get stolen anyway. As if in his world, in his fucking mind, that just standing up and saying, I declare victory has any fucking form of authority whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, so what he did is he has leaned hard into the MAGA talking points, and that really is what has helped him. Dave McCormick is more of a moderate leaning GOP, so it's surprising that he is as close. It's going to be interesting to see. Now it's a matter of mail-in ballots where
Right.
counting is coming down to. There are a number of undated mail-in ballots. So basically the way mail-in voting works in the state of Pennsylvania is, it needs to be postmarked by a certain date to be counted.
Mm-hmm.
So the third U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Philadelphia ruled on Friday that undated ballots should be counted. They ruled this for a November 21 election.
Sure.
But they're assuming that they're going to do a similar thing here. So we'll see if that has any impact. Regardless, because of the margin of victory, the laws in Pennsylvania will call for an automatic recount. But
a recount or a revote?
A recount. They'll have to recount
Okay.
the votes for a fun. Now, the most enjoyable part of primary day for me is that it's one and done. For me, one and done for North Carolina Representative Madison Cawthorn. We played his video the other week of him dry humping a friend of his while he was naked. He will have plenty of time to go back to that, as he was defeated by North Carolina State Senator Chuck Edwards in the Republican contest for the right to represent the 11th congressional district. Edwards beating Cawthorn 33.5% to 31.6%.
Okay.
Do you think we can get Cawthorn on the podcast now that he's going to have some free time?
Nope. And I'll tell you why. Why we will not be able to get Cawthorn on the podcast. Because one of the things that you and I do week in, week out is that, we stand tall. We stand tall for our values. We stand tall for what we believe in. We stand tall for America. And that is not something that I have seen from Madison Cawthorn through his entire political career.
All right. That's fair.
Nothing? You're just gonna let that slide.
I support you. I support your choices when you make decisions like that.
But I feel like you didn't pick up on the fact that I was saying that we stand tall because he's literally in a wheelchair.
I wasn't going to grasp the low-hanging fruit.
I thought, you know what? That's what we do here. I literally send you I toss you comedic softballs for an hour a week and at least just grimace. At least grimace.
I'll do better next time. Also, we couldn't wrap up a show without talking about the disease that everybody is focused on. That's right, folks. Monkeypox.
Monkeypox.
We talked about it the other week. It is exploding apparently across Europe as cases in Spain and Italy were traced to a island music festival that had 80,000 attendees. Now, again, this is coming from the Sun, so I think we have to temper, how truthful this is. And they're saying that there is now 92 confirmed cases, which I don't know necessarily qualifies as an explosion. 145 monkeypox cases are across the world. Only 2 in the United States, Brian. So, I think it's just going to go away. It's just going to run its course and go away. It'll be like it never existed, Brian. Like it never happened.
It's it's going to get warmer. It's getting warmer soon, and it's
warmer
just
right now.
It's just going to go away. Should we be afraid of monkeypox?
I have no idea because I'm still not 100% certain what monkeypox is.
It's in the same vein of chickenpox, smallpox, scarlet fever fox, Michael fox.
Still love that clip. I'm going to Google monkeypox because Because I don't think you are
Pox on
correct.
you and your whole family. What I find very ironic is that the monkeypox seems to now be all over the news as something that is just 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 wild to me. Is that the coronavirus pandemic? We've pretty much just accepted that it's over.
Right.
Meanwhile, case numbers are skyrocketing. People are getting are testing positive. People are sick. Sure, we're not looking at the same numbers from Omicron, December, January, 2021, 22, but you are seeing in almost every place across the country coronavirus numbers going up. You're not seeing the same level of hospitalizations and deaths that we saw during Delta or the original first wave of COVID, which I had. But really, it's the fact that we've hit this COVID fatigue where people have just basically said, "Listen, 2 years and you are done. We are done with it. We don't have to wear masks anymore. We don't have to." Be careful on planes anymore. There's a Republican judge in Florida who sat there and said, "Hey, you know what? COVID's over," and now we've moved on to monkeypox.
And apparently, monkeypox is similar to smallpox, but with a milder rash and a lower mortality rate.
Ugh.
And to your point, we now have mask mandates coming back into place into school districts in and around Philadelphia.
Well, that's because Philly's weak.
Is it?
Can we say the Philly's weak?
If you want. I mean, I just feel like, as we've often said, the kids don't have the receptors. So why do the kids need to wear the masks?
You know what? That's a good point. Who am I to say that Philadelphia is weak? However, did we have any celebrity deaths this week?
Let's see. I think we had a couple. Let me scroll through here. There's so much we didn't get to this week, but so porn star Logan Long passing away at the age of 34 after a battle with pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like a hidden COVID death to me. But passing away at the age of 34, he racked up more than 1,000 credits in only 6 years, entering adult entertainment in 2016. He also received an AVN Best Supporting Actor Award in 2019 for his role in The Seduction of Heidi, which I believe that was your movie of the year, if I remember going back to the 2019 awards that you did.
I did say that was movie of the year, but I mean, if we're really going to talk about Logan Long, I mean, his work in the True Anal series, the Swallowed series, when his work in the My School Crush, when he played the client, he also appeared in an episode of Massage Me Down, excuse me. He also did All Anal Action too. We're all fan of his work in Teen Pies and Lubed. And let's not forget Tushy. He starred in a lot of episodes of Tushy. Also loved MILF Mayhem 4. Sneaky Sex, he starred in several episodes of. Also Round and Brown. Who could forget what he did in Round and Brown number 43? Oh, incredible. I Need a Masseuse.
Oh, Janelle pointed out his part in Hot Dog Roll. I mean,
yes.
that was some of his best work. Thank you for pointing that out, Janelle.
It was the acting scene where, the stressed out female lawyer who was taking a break in the courtroom in between cases, running down to the cafeteria, looking for something quick and easy to eat, decided to order a hot dog, extra onions, the way he was able to present her the hot dog roll with his meat inside.
Classic.
You haven't seen that kind of work since Bachelor Party starring Tom Hanks.
Also passing away, undefeated German boxer Musa Askan Yamak passing away of a heart attack during a fight. The 38-year-old fighter died after collapsing in the ring yesterday, actually facing Ugandan veteran Hamza Wandera in Munich, Germany. Apparently, he took a very hard shot to the body in the second round, which they feel may have contributed to knocking his heart rhythm off and causing the heart attack that claimed his life.
Now, there's crazy video if you decide to post it. It's out there on the internet. There's this, you could see he's boxing. Ref breaks him up. He takes a couple steps forward and then literally just falls to the ground. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yes, definitely. Anything else to cover before we get out of here this week?
I don't believe so. I think it's been an incredible week. My heart goes out to those people who are in Ukraine, still getting shelled by Russian missiles. I've seen areas where Russia is making advances. I've also seen areas where the Ukraine is making advances. This looks like it's going to be a war of attrition. Also, thoughts and prayers go out to the family of David Reichman, who was a New York City therapist, died yesterday at the finish line of the Brooklyn Half Marathon. There is video also online, not saying I went out and looked for it, of him collapsing literally at the finish line. And he passed away later on in the day. Sadly, he is not the first person to die during the Brooklyn Half Marathon. And again, as William Esquire points out, we are rounding out the 5th month of 2022, and not 1 point has been scored in the Ron and Brian Death Pool. You've got your standards. Ron, you're almost always up there. Andrew H. always comes in with some points.
2-time defending champion.
He always he knocks a couple out in November, December to knock it out. William Esquire, who we know is still bitter from getting knocked out at the last minute in 2021, he always is good for a couple points. I'm always terrible. It's not shocking that I have 0 points, but it's just the fact that I'm still tied is what's tied for first and tied for last. The story of my life.
All right. Well, let's wrap things up here. Let's get ready for After Dark.
After Dark.
And as we said, if you want to call and leave us a voicemail in the coming week, 267-627-1062. Otherwise, hop on over to ronandbrianpodcast.com and click on become a patron if you want to join our Patreon. Bronze level or higher, get access to the live After Dark, which will be starting in about 22 minutes. So you've got plenty of time to sign up for the Patreon and for us to get you the link to join us. Brian, anything else before we close out episode 207?
Nope. I just would like to say once again, I know I've said it before, and if I'm beating a dead horse or just a record that skips, it means a lot to me. First and foremost, to be able to spend this hour with you, Ron, talking about the events going on, not just in the world, but also in our personal lives. But it also means an incredible a lot to me that that people out there are set aside an hour of their week to hear you and I talk about issues. Anytime somebody reaches out to me to say, hey, you were wrong on this one, or, hey, I thought it was good, the point that you made there, or, hey, you really need to start pointing out, that Ron wears some terrible colored T-shirts during the podcast. It just the idea that people are paying attention. It just means so much to me. And I want to thank anybody that is watching this live, watching this later on after the fact on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, anybody listening to the audio version of the podcast. It just means a lot to me, and I want to thank you.
All right. And thanks to you too, my friend. I enjoy doing this each and every week. And yes, thanks to all of you for joining us. Like I said, we will be back here next Sunday night at 8 o'clock. Sunday. And otherwise, we will see our Patreon folks in about 20 minutes for After Dark. Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you for joining us on the Ron and Brian podcast. We're live each week on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You can find prior episodes, links to our social media, and everything else Ron and Brian at ronandbrianpodcast.com. See you again